Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Maximilian College Basketball Conference Tournament previews. And for today, we will be going over picks and analysis for the Big Ten Tournament. And before we jump in, as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out all the other previews up on my channel. This is like the second wave of conference tournaments that we get. A lot of the mid majors went last week, and then now the big ones are starting this week, including the Big Ten. This one, everyone's invited here. As you can see, all 18 teams are making the trip out to Chicago here on this neutral floor. So going to be a lot of fun. Get some afternoon games here in the Big Ten all week to bet and whatnot. So we're taking a look here at the conference tournament. This one just finished up today, Sunday. The Big Ten regular season finished up. So odds availability is kind of tough, but I did find Caesars was the first one to post here. And as you can see, no surprise, Michigan is minus 150 here. They are the favorite to win this one. Was a little surprised to see Illinois as the third favorite because, the two best teams are going to be Michigan and Illinois, and they did get paired up on the same side. Those are the two best teams in the conference, in my opinion. And I do think that one of those teams will be representing themselves in the championship here. Wisconsin is probably the trendiest one, that 5 seed there, because Wisconsin, they've really been good at playing up to their competition. For whatever reason, in those big games, when they play someone better than them, they just happen to hit every three, like they did, in their most recent game against Purdue, if you saw that one on Saturday. So, the top half is very interesting here, but I do think we get either Michigan or Illinois. So I'd look to one of those two teams in the top. But because those are the best two teams, in my opinion, the 1 and the 4, I think we get a weaker 2 and 3 at the bottom. So my strategy here was to go look at the bottom row for my pick, especially because I think 2-seed Nebraska is the weakest of the bunch. Nebraska, the season's been great. It's been awesome, but they are starting to, come back down to earth here a little there. So I do think there is value in the bottom of the board, and that's why I'm drawing my line here at Purdue at 12-1. And I think Purdue gets I think they have a fantastic draw here, and that is going to be the team that I make a case for. Now, these Caesar openers, I did grab some 12-1, and I noticed, like, right after I finished making these graphics, when I was getting ready to record, it did get hit. Somebody else hit Purdue as well, so that line did come down. But it doesn't really change the analysis here, why I'm targeting this team. So make sure, shop around. If you can get, something like 10-1 on them, I think it's a good number here for Purdue, because like I said, I think they have a fantastic draw here at the 7 seed. So in their first game, Purdue would draw Indiana, they're great at home, but when they have to go away from home, this team is just not the same. We saw that, in their most recent game against Ohio State on Saturday. I had Ohio State on my card, and they beat, Indiana. They went wire to wire. They were up double digits the entire game. So covered that one, no problem. Won by like 13, I think. And then they just played Purdue, and, Indiana got Purdue at home, but when they had to go on the road, Purdue beat them by 29, I think it was. So Purdue already took care of business. They were a big favorite in that one, and they would be a sizable favorite here. Now, the next game against 2-seeded Nebraska, Purdue's going to be a favorite in that one again. They were favored at Nebraska, and they were able to win that game as well. So there's no reason to think they wouldn't be favorites there again. So the 7 seed actually, and I know Purdue has been struggling. This was the preseason number 1 team. They've really been disappointing this year. They've, really struggled at home, though, is the thing. So maybe going on the road here in Chicago might help this team and, build some momentum here heading into the tournament, because they could really use it. And then as far as the teams below them, who they might meet in the semifinals, Michigan State, that game would probably be a pick 'em. That would be another short spread here for Purdue at the 7 seed. So And then I don't think I'm pretty sure it will be Michigan State in the semifinals because, Minnesota and Rutgers don't really threaten at all. And then UCLA, I mean, as you've seen all year, this team just refuses to win games outside of the Pacific time zone. So I don't really trust UCLA either at the 6. So I think we get Purdue, Michigan State. And, like I said here at 12-1, I played it. If you can get like a 10-1 or, I do think Purdue is actually the team that finds themselves in the championship. Now, do I necessarily think they're going to win it? Probably not, because Michigan and Illinois are, so good, but I'm more confident in predicting that Purdue has a good chance to make the final than Michigan, Illinois. I think that would be a fantastic rematch there in the semifinals. Michigan probably gets them, but I don't want to play Michigan at a big minus price there, because I think Illinois has a good chance to pull off that win. And like I said, those are the 2 best teams in this conference. So I do think one of them will be representing in the top. I just honestly don't know which one. So this Big Ten analysis for me was pretty quick. I mean, right away, Purdue jumped off the board here. And like I said, I know they're not playing great, but I just think it's a fantastic draw for a team that's going to be, minus 8.5 versus Indiana, then, -3 range versus Nebraska, and then probably a pick 'em versus Michigan State. That's a very, very manageable road to get to the championship here for a team that, needs to string together some momentum heading into the tournament. So I do think if you can get a decent price here on Purdue when these lines become more available, like I said, I had to pull these off Caesars as they just finished the regular season today. So these lines probably will change, but yeah, if you can find the analysis doesn't change. I'm looking to attack Purdue or anyone in that bottom row. Like if you think, maybe UCLA finally does something outside the Pacific time zone, you can go that route. If you like Michigan State, like I said, I think they end up in the semifinals. You can attack them as well if you find a good number. The problem is in the top, you can't take anyone in the top really, because Ohio State having to go through Michigan and then Illinois would be tough. Same thing with Wisconsin there. If you had to go through Illinois and Michigan, that is just 2 brutal games just to get to the championship. So I avoided the top for that reason. I think if you want to play a long shot, I would go towards the bottom. I think it's much more manageable just because the fact that, is Nebraska really the second best team in this conference? No. I think Illinois is. I think Michigan State is the 3rd best team, though. I think they got that one right. Or, it's tough. Purdue might be, but Purdue struggled in big games this year. But in that Michigan State game, it was close. They did have a chance to win that one at home, so they could get revenge here. But yeah, nothing too crazy for me in the top here. This conference breakdown was pretty straightforward for me. I kind of knew what I wanted to do here. So I'm looking at Purdue if I can get a decent number. Put a half unit on them and just hope that they can make the championship, and then you can get out of the ticket from there. So that's my strategy here on this one. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to buy low on Purdue here because, like I said, I know they're struggling. But these spreads that they will have in this path is very, very manageable. So going the Purdue route for the Big Ten. And that will do it for today's Big Ten preview. Thanks so much for watching, and go ahead, like, subscribe, and check out the other conference tournament previews up on my channel. Best of luck, everyone.